mate. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Nice to meet
Nice to meet you too. This is the first time where the Zoom audio is not messed up straight away.
you.
Yeah, so welcome to the podcast, Josh. It's a pleasure to have you on here. And I totally dig your film, and we absolutely welcome it to the festival.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about where you're based, if you're on any kind of course, and how did you initially come up with the idea?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm down with my parents in Wiltshire, and I go to uni at Uni of Gloucester to do film production. And I think initially the idea came from I'd seen like the instructional videos that the NHS had put out online, and I think there's two, the government ones that you see all the time.
Yeah.
And it sort of reminded me of like old public information films, and it seemed a bit sort of dystopian in a way.
Yeah. Have you seen the game Fallout?
Yeah. I haven't. Well, I played like 10 minutes of it, but
It's like some of the instructional videos on that's not a bad thing. It's I was like, oh my god, this reminds me of playing Fallout, and
yeah.
I think your choice of cropping it, was it shot in 4:3 or did you crop it 4:3?
It was cropped to 4:3. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of informed the idea a lot more, made it stronger, I think, because if it had been widescreen, I don't think it would have had the same impact.
Yeah, that was something that I had in mind since the start, really, for sure, to try and sell the effect.
Yeah. How long did it take you to develop the idea?
It's probably like a on and off for a week, sort of thinking about it and not getting around to filming it, but developing it further, really. And then as is usual, the longest process was editing it and rendering it many times.
Yeah,
until I was happy with it.
I tell you what, rendering is just a grim thing, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
doing those final stages when you're happy with it.
Yeah, it was alright because I could do uni work at the same time, but meanwhile my laptop was just like sounding like it was about to take off.
Oh yeah, I've been there, man. I used to have a Toshiba laptop back in the day.
Yeah.
And before I bought my first Apple computer, it sounded like it was like an aircraft carrier or something.
Yeah.
And that eventually died. I've kind of gone full circle now. I've switched back to a PC because when Apple produced because I had a previous Mac Pro, which I bought 18 years ago, something mental like that. Was it 18 years? Maybe something like that. Yeah.
Was that the one that's like a tower shape instead of the cylinder?
Tower, yeah. But I was right. It might have been later than that, but it was at least 10 years I had it, and it was great. I upgraded the RAM. Everything was singing. It was edited 4K, no problem, and there was no real lag. I was using Premiere. I was using Final Cut. I was doing After Effects, all of that. But then when it came to Apple releasing the new Mac Pro and the chatter about the new tower, not the dustbin, the other one, the new cheese grater, I was like, oh, I was so excited. But then obviously it's aimed purely at studios. It's not aimed at individuals, because the cost is ridiculous of a new machine.
Oh yeah, you can configure it, can't you? I think it's like
45 grand, isn't it, or more?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I think I can get out to like 60 grand or something.
Yeah, and as soon as Apple announced the price of the wheels for the Mac, what, £900, something like that, just for 4 wheels.
Yeah. And
like, is it Unbox Therapy? He made the wheels into a skateboard with another piece of metal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's just showing how absurd it is. Apple are charging so much.
And there's the stand, which is like $1 grand or something.
Oh, for the monitor, yeah. There's no stand for it, is there? You have to get something for it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bit suspect, isn't it? So, when did your kind of love for film start? Because obviously you can see in your film, Keep Calm and Stay Indoors, that there's a lot of kind of really interesting and there's a lot of influences in your film. So when did your kind of love for film start?
I'd say my main influence since like a young age was Aardman animations, like watching the Wallace and Gromit films, and a bit later on Shaun of the Sheep. And
You're gonna say Shaun of the Dead?
yeah, that as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that got me interested in stop motion animation, because I was just amazed how they made something that's inanimate, and so I got into like Lego stop motion animations when I was about 13, 14, and at the same time I was getting into photography on my, I think it was an iPod Touch I had at the time.
Amazing.
Yeah, and there was loads of apps out there to do these cheesy effects, like you know, you can do selective color, and like I'd take a picture of a phone box or something and it'd be red. And I think that and then I went on to study photography and media for GCSE and then A level, and throughout that I just sort of merged the animation and the photography. Naturally ended up wanting to do film, really.
Yeah, that's really interesting, man. I went through a similar process at college before I went to university. We did film development, you know, with 35mm film, and I'd already had a passion for at least watching movies years before that, and it was something about creating a story within a single image, and I thought that was a really fascinating idea.
Yeah.
And then when I started to make short films and other productions, it really, like you say, it kind of met at a crossroads, didn't it? And I think they complement each other quite well. A lot of really good cinematographers are exceptional photographers as well, because they just see what needs to be in the frame.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, what did you shoot on for your film, and how did you? Can you tell me a little bit about the process of almost pulling the image apart? Because it's not like you can tell it's shot on an iPhone. You can't tell it's shot on film. It's a really nice kind of image quality to it, and it looks like an old BBC infomercial from the 50s or something, you know. So if you can tell us a little bit about the process of pulling the image apart and how you shot it.
Well, I shot it on my Lumix G80 here, and it's got like, where is it? The Sigma lens is just ridiculously sharp.
Is that the 18-35?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beast.
It's a brilliant lens, but obviously, you know, the era that I was trying to emulate, the lenses were nowhere near as sharp. And I think that was the main thing when editing that I wanted to do was the sharpness, really, and create that old looking softness. And there's a brilliant effect. Have you used DaVinci Resolve?
Oh yeah, that's my go-to. So now because I switched to PC, and I've got a Blackmagic web presenter. Normally use that as a webcam, so this image normally looks a lot better for other people. Yeah. But I'm having a power issue through that, so I actually shoot on a Pocket 4K. So when you see this episode released, you'll see the Pocket 4K shot. I've got a softbox here with a honeycomb a thing over the softbox, and so yeah, the full DaVinci Resolve Suite 16 came with the camera.
Yeah.
Unlocking everything, but I think Resolve's fantastic, and the fact that you get it for free, and it's brilliant. It's virtually, there's only a few features between the two, the full version, paid version, and the free one that's different. And I've got to say, hats off to Blackmagic for that, because you know, to release something like that, all other competitors would charge you through the nose for it.
They've just completely undercut everyone else, really.
Exactly, and the quality of their cameras is great, and that's what I like about the image. And yeah, so you were saying something about the filters or the process you were using in Resolve? Yeah,
actually, quite annoyingly, see, I haven't got the full studio version, but one of the effects that the full version has is the film grain effect, which which is quite important. But I ended up just like overlaying a like a royalty-free recording of film grain on top of the footage, and then using Resolve's film damage effect.
Yeah,
and
I've got to say the compliment I'm going to give you for that is it doesn't look like one of those stock filters over the top.
it is good. It works
what
well.
what kind of percentage level are you at? Because I'm genuinely curious, and other people will be as well. Is that how far up that slider did you go to for the grain and the noise and how you pulled it apart?
Well, the grain that I have, it has two versions. It has like a rough grain and a more subtle grain. And I went for the rough one just because I wanted it to look like it had degraded over time and all that. And then with the film effect, I stuck mainly to like the preset it already has, and it adds it did add like a color shift, like a temperature shift, but I ended up not going for that. And it had
what kind of color did it put? What color shift did that put on it?
It was like a warmer kind of sepia look, but I wanted to just go for black and white really. And then it has the scratches that go across and the dust and all that, and the softness as well.
Yeah, I've got it. I'm just gonna slowly. I'll probably keep this in the podcast, but I'm gonna just have a little look at the shot. I think it's the first or second. I love the shot of the cat. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and it's the shot. It's the shot of the thermometer, and that I've got to say, you really do step away from your camera and especially that lens, because I know how I use that lens at work, and it's exceptionally sharp. And I think you kind of achieved a film quality out of that camera, and you wouldn't think, oh, this is shot on that, because this is the problem I have with certain manufacturers of cameras like Sony. Sony make exceptional cameras. I used to have the A7S, and it was like a low light beast. You could shoot at 20,000 ISO and there's no noise. But the problem is, I could always see what a Sony image is, and that's what frustrated me about having a Sony camera at the time. So that's one of the reasons I shifted to Blackmagic. And what you've done with your film is you shifted away from any camera, and from a technical point of view, from me, when I look at that and go, oh right, okay, this is interesting. I'm not even thinking about the technical requirements or what you've done to it. I just thought, oh, this looks really cool. And I think. And did you put quite a lot of softness on it? How did that work?
Yeah, the softness was mainly built into the film damage effect in DaVinci, but also I added a bit of like a glow effect, because like with really old lenses, they have halation, don't they, where the highlights sort of glow a bit. So I wanted to try and create that a bit. And then obviously it's an extremely fast lens, and like films back then, they didn't have very shallow depth of field, so I made sure to stop down my aperture and make sure that I didn't have a shallow depth of field, basically.
Yeah, I think that would almost be a giveaway for other people watching it. Is super shallow? Is that really in it? This kind of reminded me of I think it was a film called The Witch, and it's like a lot of singular shots. There's not much movement in the film. Is that I don't know how you feel about horror, but I would kind of use your skill set and go down the horror route, and especially a few of those shots, super scary. If you can get the right setting, obviously story's paramount and all that, is that you can really achieve something, I think, pretty cool, man. So yeah, I think we were very happy to receive it.
Thank you.
And I was trying to, sorry, you were saying.
One thing that, speaking of horror, well, not really horror, but have you seen The Lighthouse?
No, I know. Yeah. I really want to see it with Rob Patterson and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, that was a bit of an influence, I think, to go for like the black and white old 4:3 look, because the I can't remember what the process is, but there's some filters that they used on that to give it that very very sort of dark look, but not underexposing, but just it looked really really dark. And I first of all I sort of went for that, but someone else watched it and they were sort of like, you're going for like a comedic tone, right? And they said it sort of takes away from that, so I didn't end up going for that really dark look, but I thought I did want to use it on something else in the future because it did look really cool. Just sort of, it was like the really dark, but then the highlights really popped.
Yeah. So did you kind of storyboard it, or did you kind of, because obviously some of those shots must have been planned because you're kind of shooting yourself and a lot of those things. And who would you say kind of influences are in terms of cinema?
Like we mentioned earlier, actually, Edgar Wright is a big influence for me.
Yeah, you can tell by that sync shot. You know, the shot of sync.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did a little Instagram story takeover at the university I work at in Chester, and Edgar Wright was the influence of that. Right? How does he shoot a story in a very sequential way? You know, like kind of those quick fire shots he kind of mastered.
Yeah.
And I did one of, and we had the backbone of the Groundhog Day music when Bill Murray wakes up, and it had that the radio that plays. So I thought, right, I'm editing this and then see what I get. And I shot with my camera. You can put guides on it for 4:3 or for Instagram's stories, which is really tall.
Yeah.
9:16, not 16:9, and that kind of influenced the cinematography in a massive way. That everything's in square. So when you were shooting, did you have like guides on, or did you have a kind of a clear understanding where your boundaries were on the sides?
No, I didn't actually have any guides, but I've shot quite a lot of photos in 4:3, so I'm kind of like, I'm used to it, and also I knew that I could shoot wider than I needed to and crop in anyway, because like resolution wasn't really something I was worried about with this.
So were you shooting slightly wider than you would do normally, so you'd have more of a chance when it came to the edit?
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah, I think that when you have the opportunity to kind of and resolution's not an issue, especially in this film, it almost adds to it when you kind of push in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So was most of it on tripod, and obviously some of the stuff was handheld. How did you kind of come to choose? How did you come to kind of choose your shots? Do you do any storyboards at all, or anything like that?
No, I didn't actually do any storyboards, but I wrote the script for it, and then just had underneath each line just a description of what would be in the shot. And yeah, I shot it with this tripod that I actually found in a skip last year.
Was it broken in the skip, or was it like that?
No, it was perfect. I have no idea why they threw it away, but it's really wobbly and dusty, but because I left my proper film tripod at uni, unfortunately. So I ended up also the overhead shot of the toilet rolls was quite a challenge. That was I'm just gonna have a little look at that. If you keep telling me about that toilet roll shot. Yeah, I could send you a picture of the rig. Actually, it was pretty funny. It had this. So I have like a bike stand for working on bikes. It had that, which was raised up, and then this tripod was literally just stuck in the clamp.
Amazing.
And extended out, and then on the end I had I think I just had a rucksack filled with books or something to counterweight it.
If you've got that photo, we'll include that in the podcast. We'll actually put it up now.
Yeah,
we'll show it in the and we'll use that in our marketing, if you don't mind, of this podcast, because we're trying to get like we interviewed an actress from Canada yesterday called Jenny Fisher, and She
Oh yeah.
she posted a BTS of her film on YouTube, and it's really nice to see. I like all that because obviously I'm a technical background. I'm an editor by nature, and
Hmm.
it's really nice to see how people work and achieve these little things. Like this softbox here, it's on an Ari stand, but because of where the wall is in the desk, you have to have the feet. So it's two legs like that. You normally
Oh
have,
yeah.
you have your weight on your front leg, don't you? So there's actually a sandbag on the back of it because
Yeah.
the weight's coming this way. And, you know what I mean? So I really dig those. Finding out a little bit more about the film, and if you can send that to us, that'd be great. If you can email it to us, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
So where did you get all the kind of the overalls, and was that in the house, like the flat caps? And
Oh
is it your mom that's in the film as well?
yeah. Yeah. That's my mum did a brilliant job. She was well up for it, and she actually works at a museum as an educational officer. So she like runs uh classes for groups of school kids that come in, and does a bit of acting and dressing up, and so she has like the overalls and stuff and the costumes already. So we just sort of dressed up and had a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, because I guess she really enjoyed kind of pushing around with that brush.
Yeah, yeah, a bit too much maybe.
Yeah, I think that when you've got screen accurate costumes and things like that, even just simple stuff like bit of production, it really adds weight and value to your film. Because if you
Yeah,
tried to do that with modern clothes in some way, it would have fallen flat, you know.
yeah, it's just little subconscious things as well that
Yeah,
you like. Uh, I think the shot on the sink, there was like some modern looking Wilco cutlery and stuff, and I just made sure to get that out of shot because you sort of notice it.
yeah. I love. I'm going to show some screen. I need to remind myself during the edit. I'm going to show some screenshots of your films because, like you say, the lighthouse is a really good influence. It's a really good point. But it's like the shot when your mum's looking at the camera and pushing you with a brush off camera.
Mm,
And I think it reminds me of photographs I've seen of my grandparents after the Second World War of them in
really?
their house. So I think that you absolutely nailed the choice. And I love the bits of the skateboard and the activities. And how did you do? Let me think. How did you do the old flicks graphic? Was that an
Oh,
After
that was
Effects?
yeah, that well no I think I did that in Premiere actually. I ended up cutting the film in Premiere because um some reason DaVinci, my laptop was just like, it was playing at about
Dying, basically.
absolutely dying. It was playing about 10 FPS, and then that was before putting on the film damage effect, which was just like absolutely killing it. So I ended up just cutting it in Premiere and then exporting it as, how was it, MXF, I think.
Oh yeah, I'm not a big fan of that format because of the. I think it was Sony FS5s that shoot in that, something
Yeah,
like that, and it's always a bit of a problem. I always have a problem playing those files back. Actually,
yeah. But basically, it ended up being much smoother to play that than the MP4 files from my camera because it doesn't shoot in ProRes or anything like that. And yeah, because apparently it has to DaVinci has to unpackage the MP4, and that ends up slowing it down. Whereas the MXF, it's already,
it's like native, yeah.
yeah. So I've forgotten what we were talking about.
It was the old flicks. How did
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah.
And was that a photo? Was that a photograph you found online? The of the TV.
Yeah, that was a photo, and then it originally said Netflix actually, and then in one of the cuts, I was thinking like, maybe I'll get into legal trouble with having the Netflix logo, and it might be a bit funnier if I do a parody of it anyway.
I think
So
they
I've switched it.
I think they would love that. I hope that when we post this in a few weeks, this interview, that we'll actually use that as a screenshot and tag Netflix in it, because I think it's a really fun concept, and if you'd have stuck with and like forget about the legal not ramifications, I think they would have seen it as a positive thing anyway. But if you'd have left it as Netflix, you'd have been pulled straight out of your film.
Yeah,
like tonally, it wouldn't have matched anything that's gone before it. So I think that was a very wise move. And then it was, then it's like some sort of. Have you ever seen a film House on Haunted Hill?
No, I haven't.
The old one, Vincent Price. Well, there's marketing where there's like it's a black screen and you see Vincent Price's face coming towards the screen. I think it's the trailer or the intro, and there's a skeleton that comes towards the screen as well. And I want to mention it, but I'll decide whether to cut this out or not. But the skeleton hands, it just reminded me of that because you went into the kind of would you say this is 50s?
Probably 40s, 30s and 40s.
Yeah, and so that skeleton hands just reminded me of House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll send you a clip or a sequence, a YouTube link on an email, showing you exactly what I mean. But yeah, I think the shot choice, if there was too much movement in it, like you were on a gimbal or something, it just wouldn't have worked.
Yeah. Because the cameras were so heavy back then, they didn't have much moving going on. And another thing I took into consideration was the budgets of public information films back then were very low, and so they wouldn't have the money for a big dolly or even shooting in color, because color film did exist then, but it was just really expensive. And so just like cheap black and white film, not much movement, and just like low budget props and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it worked. Is this so what year are you in on your course?
I'm in second year at the moment.
And were you producing films in your first?
Yeah. And cinematography has been my thing so far.
So was this originally intended for as part of a course?
Sort of. It was it's a whole can of worms really, this course at the moment. But
is that because of the learning online?
Yeah, it's a real mess, and a lot of people weren't happy about it. But we had a work experience module where we would get hours of work experience and then write about them in an essay. And I hadn't filled the amount of work experience hours, and then obviously lockdown happened, and we can't get work experience, and so they put out a brief to make videos for a new website for the uni. I think it's supposed to be showcasing how students are working in lockdown and stuff like that. And so I made this video initially for that brief to fill work experience hours and go on the website. And then I was happy with it and sort of worked out where I could put it.
No, I think it worked a treat, man. And I think that, have your kind of course leaders and other friends at uni, have they seen this?
Yeah, the course leaders seem to like it.
Yeah, because it kind of I think it hits on a lot of notes in terms of skill set and what you're trying to achieve. I think the period you kind of went for, you kind of nailed it. Did you change just out of curiosity, did you change the grain on different shots, or did you keep it pretty consistent?
It was consistent in the end.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice to change it. I think I just ended up running out of time, really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love the skateboard thing, man. Just that matches the period really, really well. And just a little update for you. I'm gonna make a little video about this later. we've got two poster designers that are designing the posters for every single film we've got. We've almost got 50 submissions so far. We only started this festival almost 7 weeks ago now, so we're quite proud of that. So they're taking elements from each film. So I'm up sending them another 10 films through a private link today, and they're taking elements from every film, and they're creating a unique one-off poster that everyone's going to receive. So we're going to get them printed to one sheets. So you'll receive a poster of your film with the festival laurel on, official selection and all that. So we're quite proud that we've got these two students in Cornwall to be part of it, and it's going to be a lot.
I watched that, actually, the episode with the students from Cornwall.
Yeah, they were great. Tamsin. So when you see Tamsin on screen at the very beginning, she's one of the designers. Actually, her friends encouraged her to say, "Oh, she does a lot of kind of designing and hand drawn stuff." And yes, so I messaged her, said, "Oh, do you fancy being part of this festival? It's your name's going to be attached to all of it when we send it out. We'll send a letter out to everyone saying this is your one-off." We've got another student based in Chester that is designing the poster for the overall festival, and then there's going to be a single poster that everyone receives of their particular film. So Tamsin and a friend, I think it's James, that work together. That he's doing some of the hard graphics and she's doing the kind of hand-drawn stuff, almost like has this kind of Quentin Blake vibe going on.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's so you'll receive that. We don't know when that's going to happen, but it's obviously going to be after the festival. So it's kind of a nice little keepsake, little momentum of your work and the effort.
Yeah.
And then we're going to try and do a showcase of everyone's films. We're going to do like possibly a 3 different time zone Zoom call, and we'll do it, or possibly a live YouTube event where we screen all the films. And it's going to be fun to do that. And we want to showcase it to the filmmakers before anyone else. I think it's like a little here are all the other films that were submitted and accepted, and that'd be kind of a cool little event because there's lots of animation. We just received an animation. I'm going to share this with you actually. So let me find it. This will be the first time anyone else apart from myself has seen this. So this is a filmmaker called Rita Cruz, and basically what I do is every day we almost get we're receiving like 1 every other day or 2 on a day or something. So it's a really nice consistent amount we're getting. Yeah. And we received this yesterday, and I thought, right, at like 2 a.m. This morning, I downloaded all the current ones that were in we transfer links. And I saw this one by Rita Cruz, so I downloaded it. I thought, all right, I'll watch this before I speak to Josh this morning. I watched it. I was like, this is fantastic. Like, where this is like a little, you get little gems like yours. I think yours is absolutely fantastic. But I've said this. I've said this to everyone now. You get real sense of someone's personality through their creative arts and through their films.
I think that's especially true at the moment when people are shoot, writing and editing just themselves.
Absolutely.
Like the film is literally everything done by themselves.
We've got a lot of actors that are producing films for themselves, and they do that anyway, to kind of showcase their work for auditions and that kind of thing. But they're really taking on board. They're building their new skill sets, and they're understanding their own processes or what filmmakers they work with have to go through. And it's been a really nice thing to be part of other people's learning curves.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you. This is a film called, I don't know what the title is actually. So there's a filmmaker called Rita Cruz, and every episode, or the last few episodes, we've been showing films to people like yourself and other filmmakers, 1 or 2 other films. So I'll show you this one. No one else has seen this apart from myself. Okay. Hopefully it's been entered to other festivals like yours. I definitely think you should as well. So let me share the screen. Share audio, screen 1. Share that. Let's get this Rita Cruz. Can you hear that okay? I just stopped it. Okay, I'm going to play this now.
You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things.
Oh my God, that's stunning.
I know when I saw that, I was like, my God, it's not even the animation, it's the storytelling in I don't want to simplify it, but it's simplicity. I think that, like the way you shot your film and how you made yours, I think there's like a kind of it's really nice to, like, for yourself, how do you feel when you see something like that? Because it's you're part of the festival now as well.
It was, excuse me, it's amazing. Like, do you know if it was physically painted?
So I've sent her a message asking her I've sent her like loads of questions now, because I'm like super curious how she made it, and because it pretty much looks like a painting, doesn't it?
Yeah,
so
like a watercolor.
So I'm very curious how she made that, and that's like one of the reasons I wanted you on the podcast, Josh, is that I wanted to see how you made it, because I'm always curious. We're always learning, aren't we? We're always improving our technique in that. So as soon as I know, I'll forward you some of those details. So that was Rita Cruz, and so it's lovely to have films from the UK, from Israel, Australia, Canada, US. I think we've had one from Colombia, mainland Europe, a few places.
Wow.
And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that we started this 7 weeks ago, and now it's kind of blown up a little bit. We've had 200 followers in 6 weeks on our Instagram account. That's where we kind of push most of our content now.
Yeah,
most of our marketing's on there, because it seems to be the most accessed social media platform. So we thought, let's keep it there, keep it fun, keep it interactive. What
made you initially want to start the festival?
Well, a friend and I, Chris Berry, the other founder of the festival, we worked together, and we were on a video gig, and we said, why don't we both came on the idea of, why don't we send each other films and create stuff during lockdown, have a little competition between the two of us. And he said, why don't we open it further? And then it was a light bulb moment between the two of us. I thought, why don't we make a festival? I'd invite, see what we get. And then I thought, right, this was the last day before lockdown about 7 weeks ago. And I thought, I have to get the Instagram, I have to get the website, I have to get all of it, I have to buy the domain, because someone else is going to have the same idea. Yeah. And there's a few ideas like that online, but we wanted to create a unique kind of community-based vibe. So when you see all the other filmmakers on Instagram and on YouTube, we wanted to make everyone feel really included, and not just, thanks for your film, that's it. We'll send you something in the post, and you don't hear much about it. We wanted to keep people interested and see what, share the content from other filmmakers. So we wanted just, I think it was 20 films we aimed for. So now we've got 50. I think it's 48 is the last count. And when we received our first international one, it was like, I think it was the third entry, and that was from France. And I was like, that's really cool. I thought, let's do a podcast. Let's speak to the Julian from Bordeaux, and his film is typically French, and it's not a bad thing. And it was like had this kind of French jazz music, and it was kind of a comedy piece with him getting ready for the day. And I was like, this is something, we've got something here. And then since then, it's kind of exploded in a small way, and we've enjoyed the process since then. And there's a lot of admin involved, but it's good fun. We want to make sure that when someone sends something in and we've downloaded it, that they get at least an email saying thank you so much, and I always try and highlight a particular point of each film. So
Yeah.
it shows that we really do watch, and we really have watched every single one several times. And it's really like opening a real present you haven't asked for. You know, when you sent your film or Rita sent her animation, you open, you go, oh wow, this is great. This is completely different. We've had diary entries from people that have moved from Boston to North Carolina. We've had narrative. We've had really dark horror as well, like really, really dark. And we've had a chap that I know in Chester. He is just retired from the University of Chester. He was tech support and admin and everything like myself. And he does a lot of in-community support for elderly people. And he's been doing this for years, so teaching older generation about technology and that kind of thing. And I said to him, why don't you just submit a Zoom call with a group of people telling, showcasing or telling them how to use the iPads or how to use Zoom or something like that. So we're accepting all kinds of content, and that's what we wanted. We didn't just want we didn't just want horror, or we didn't just want a piece of camera. We wanted a real mix, and we've kind of found that. I think we're getting to a point now where we're going to have categories, and when we showcase them, we're kind of my initial thought was we send every filmmaker 3 films, and if they can tell us a little bit about what they think of the films, we're going to do that. But I think we'll do it in a live capacity with just our filmmakers like yourself and many others to see how they feel about the other films. Because I think that'd be quite a nice thing to be included in, like showing you that. I was really quite proud of someone else's film, showing you that animation, because it's kind of the vibe of it. I bet it really kind of connects with them, the material.
Yeah.
So it's been a really interesting process, Josh. It's been super creative time as well, even though we're all in this very odd situation.
I think it's nice that that you're creating this community kind of this community feeling, because I think that's what we need at the moment. Like, people aren't going to work, they're not going to study at uni or school, and it's really nice to have that. Yeah,
exactly. I think it is very important. Like, the clap for carers outside and all of that. Because my partner, she works for the NHS in a health practice, and obviously she's scheduling appointments online and all that, and it's incredibly stressful. So I think that it's an incredible time to have a sense of community or support. I think a lot of people that are on their own, like my next door neighbor through this wall on the other side, and I don't think she'll mind me saying this, but she lost her husband a few weeks ago, like just before the situation started, and so she just imagine how her isolation's going. So I've offered that I said to her, every lunchtime or so, when you see me out in the garden, we'll have a cup of tea over the fence, and we've not done that yet, but I'm looking forward to that. And it's like offering to go and get us shopping when we go shopping or something. I think it's super important to feel as though you've got a support network if you don't have one. And I would say that was not a fringe benefit of what we're doing, but one of the other early filmmakers, Nadia, from Boston, or she moved from Boston, she said, well, you should see this as more of a community thing and open up to people, and it'll help, make them not pass the time, but it'll help them in their situation. And I think that's the biggest thing to come out of it, is the sense of community and support. And, if people are struggling making their films for this, or they're, you can overthink it sometimes, we were happy to give pointers on editing or whatever, so it's been a really nice time, and I've met some great people like yourself, so it's feel very lucky that way.
I think in general, sort of by and large, people are sort of being nicer to each other and sort of coming together, because for the first time everyone is in the same situation, really.
Yeah, and absolutely.
Like,
how have you exactly, everything's on hold, everything. How have you and your family kind of coped with it all?
It's fine, really. It's I think I'm quite lucky to be in a good situation right now. my dad's still going to work because the company he works for, I think it counts as essential because they make circuit boards for medical stuff. And
Oh, I see. Right.
yeah, and then my mum is working from home, so that's nice to have some company during the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my partner, she goes to work, and working at home when you normally have people around the office, or you work on a video production or a photo gig, you're surrounded by people all the time, and I like that.
Yeah,
and I found the disconnect of working in an office and doing at least 12,000 steps a day completely different. Like for instance, I normally do about 12,000 steps at work, which is kind of, I think the average is at least 10,000. You're supposed to have at least 10,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
A couple of Fridays ago, I did 575 steps.
Yeah.
Because I was doing support and working at my desk like this. But when I realized that number, I was like, oh my God, that's horrific. That's really bad. And, it's, I think, so going for a walk and doing the exercise is huge. And I know we've had a little bump of increase of time to do that. We should definitely be doing more of that anyway.
Definitely. I think it's also, when you're in a work environment, you're surrounded by other people who are also working. And it's sort of, if you're not working, you sort of think, oh no, I should be working. But when you're at home, it's not the same. Like when I'm at uni, I'll go to the library to do work, even though I'm perfectly capable of just doing it on my laptop in my room. But being in the library where everyone else is working is sort of, it makes you...
Feels like you're properly connected, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something to that, definitely. And I've really kind of latched onto that now, and how much I appreciate, this is going to sound really strange, but I appreciate working.
Yeah.
Like I really, because I support students as part of the team I'm part of at the university, in terms of technical support, virtual library, how to get online, all that kind of thing. So our job's completely changed. I'm happy. I feel very lucky to be in a position where I'm still working. But when you're normally so active during a role, it's a real disconnect. It's a real, and I've had peaks and troughs emotion wise, because it's, not being active and just sitting in an office at home. It's difficult, man. But I think everyone, there's a lot of people that have got worse situations, and I feel very lucky in many ways. I'm really happy that Chris and I started this festival, because it's kind of a good thing to keep you focused as well,
Yeah, and having a routine, I think, is really important.
Yeah,
it's like, if you haven't got something to wake up for, then what's the point of waking up?
I know that routine's like when my dad retired from work a good few years ago. He became really ill when he retired, and a lot of people do when they retire, because they've got this huge vacuum of routine that's just been decimated. It's gone.
Yeah.
And I think in a small way, everyone's routine that's part of this, everyone's part of quarantine, like you say, there's positivity. There's obviously negative aspects of it as well. There's a lot of negative aspects, but I think that's that's why we wanted to kind of stay creative, is because it gave people a bit of focus, and it's really nice to talk to those people that have made the effort to create a film, and you're included, Josh.
Thank you.
So yeah, we're very happy that you came aboard on the podcast, and we're very happy you're part of the festival, mate. And we'll keep in contact, and please check our Instagram out for updates and that kind of thing. And if you can send me that behind the scenes photo of your setup, that's the kind of thing I love to add, is that we'll put context with it. We won't just throw it up there.
Yeah.
But we'll put some screenshots of your film. We don't show too much of the films at the moment, because we're kind of being we need to work out the best way to showcase the work. We don't just want to throw films up there and say that's it. And,
that makes sense.
So we kind of market them in slightly different ways. We're trying to think of things differently and not keep it generic. But yeah, if you can send me some behind the scenes stuff, that'd be great, mate.
Yeah, of course.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on board, Josh, and have a great day, mate.
Thank you. You too. It was nice chatting.
Nice chatting to you too, mate. See you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.